when I was 20, I wanted to be a millionaire. Now that I'm a millionaire, I want to be 20 again.
Yes. It was like $1,000 to $5,000 and you were returning like 50 to 70K or something ridiculous like that. I'm like, this is insane.
Some of our clients were averaging a return on investment of 10. So that means for every dollar we spend, we're getting $10 back. So we spend 10K, you're getting 6 figures back. Like this conversation again is just sort of reiterate like how much emotions and feelings still play out. Like as much as we want to be like these robots that just work off the data, a lot of emotion and
human, man. Joshua is a paid traffic consultant and a 6-figure social media marketing agency owner. He helps people build, create, and sustain businesses and showing you how to design your life. I am here with my man, my brother, Joshua Daniel George. He is Scouser, also Dutch as well, right? It's a crazy mix. It's a crazy mix, but no, we're blessed to have you here, brother. And Joshua, you are obviously a social media agency owner. That's how we originally connected. And we've been connected for a good few years now, 4 years.
Yeah, I think ever since we started in the industry was like 2016, 2017,
something like that. And we've been connected ever since. And I've watched you grow your business phenomenally, and now actually watching you help people grow their business, which one of your clients as well is one of my clients, and I've watched her explode. And I'm just watching you literally generate people such a high income, and I'm just like, man, this guy is killing it. And obviously I love all the stuff you do. We vibe really well, and I had to have you on, and I want to go into business with you mainly. But first of all, I want to get into how you started off in business. So what was it that encouraged you to get into business, and maybe what were you doing before you even thought, right, I'm going to take the plunge?
Yeah, fair enough. Where to begin, man? That's a good question. I think so. For those that have never seen or heard of me, I am obviously, as you can probably tell from the accent, originally from the UK, but actually born in the Netherlands. So my whole family is from the UK, Liverpool, and then I'm sort of like the first generation to be born in the Netherlands. And that was because my granddad came over to the Netherlands in the 60s, 70s, something like that. And he did that to start his own recruitment agency. So I don't really know at what time point he did it, if he already had it in the UK and then moved over here. I'm not really 100% sure. But that was, back then, it was quite a bold move, because the 70s, especially in Liverpool, was not a very affluent time for the city. So for him to do something as ballsy as that, that was like quite a big move. And that was sort of who my granddad was. Like, he was very, he had the saying, I'll keep it clean for the podcast, but it was basically, we owe them nothing. Obviously, he had his own variation of that, but that was what it came down to. And basically what that means is like, stand by what you believe in and do what you want to do, not because that is what society expects from you, or because that is what others want you to do. And that was sort of like his motto. And when he passed away in 2017, that really got me thinking about, what is it that I actually want to do? And am I actually living sort of in line with his motto, which at the time was definitely not the case. Still am, to be fair. I'm quite an introverted person, but back then it was, even worse. I was very introverted, very focused on what other people might think of me and might say about me, etc. Where you'd go to like a party and immediately you'd be in the corner like thinking, okay, what are people going to say when they come up to you and stuff like that? And you're already playing all kinds of scenarios in your head of what's going to happen. That was sort of how I was. And then when he passed away, like I said, that really got me thinking, like, is this really who I am and what I want to do? And, shouldn't I be sort of like taking a page out of his book and start to basically, start doing what I want to do rather than what society wants me to do. And I was doing a uni degree back then, which I did finish it, but sort of. So it's in Dutch, it's called Bedrijfskunde en Meer, which basically stands for business, management, and law.
Right.
So basically with that course, you're sort of getting ready to just go to, become an office manager, working 9 to 5, work in a little cubicle. And then obviously, towards that last year, I realized, okay, that's not actually the direction I want to go into. But I did end up finishing the degree just because I thought I've started it now. I definitely, that's the OCD in me. I had to finish what I started. I had to make sure that I did actually get that. Partly was also because I thought, if this does all fail, I do have a plan B.
Yeah.
It was never really my intention to ever do anything with that.
You were just sort of already in it, so you thought, I might as well. Because I originally dropped out of doing a plumbing qualification because I was convinced I'd become a millionaire Forex trader in a matter of months of starting. And when I think about it, probably not the best idea, but if I'm being honest, I probably should have stayed and become a qualified plumber. But like you said, things happen, and I don't regret doing it because it's served me here today. And like you said, you don't regret it either. But
if people ask me, like, have you benefited from that degree in any way, shape, or form? The answer is probably no. However, it has sort of given me a few mindset principles, I guess you can call it. Like when I look at, like, for example, when they say a lot of CEOs have a background in engineering, whereas like they can sort of pinpoint like what parts of the process needs optimizing, etc. I feel like I've sort of got that, but then to a lesser degree, because obviously I'm not a CEO of a billionaire company or done an engineering degree, but sort of like the mindset, I have developed that through my degree, if that makes sense. But anyway, so here I am, sort of in my last year of uni. My granddad just passed away, having this little quarter life crisis, trying to figure out, okay, what's the next step? And then I started looking at like what my passions were, which at the time, and to be fair, it still is, was fitness. I was very much into going to the gym. I really wanted to improve my physique. Again, obviously has to do with, being insecure and introverted, etc. I wanted to sort of break out of that. So I thought, okay, let's maybe try something with that. And this was sort of like in my subconscious for a few months before I actually, took the step. And I started an Instagram account called Joshua Daniel Fitness at the time, which obviously now it's not right. Everyone can start an Instagram account, but for me, like mentally, that was that's quite a big step, right? I was like, oof, I'm putting myself out there now. And it's funny because like at the start, you're probably the most conscious of what you're posting, and you really think things through. And that's when no one cares. That's when no one's following you. And the bigger your subscriber growth and your follower growth is, the less you care, because I don't know. True. Yeah, because you're sort of used to it. But anyway, so that was sort of my first hurdle. I started doing fitness coaching on the side. This was, like I said, this was sort of halfway through that last year of uni, going towards like, the end of that degree. And I got my, bachelor's in business, and I was like, okay, so I've got my bachelor's in business. I've got this Instagram account. What's next? And I saw, a lot of, because fitness, this was like 2016, 2017. So fitness YouTube was very big back then.
Right.
You had Rob Lipsett, Christian Guzman. So obviously, so they're still active to this day, but back then that was when they had like the big spike in growth.
Right.
So I was looking at them and thinking, okay, like that's sort of where I want to get to. I want to be able to travel the world, sort of live life on my own terms. But then I was sort of looking at basically the fitness coaching that I was doing, and I was thinking, is this really me, or is this actually going to help me live life on my own terms? And probably if I would have carried it on, I probably would have gotten to where I wanted to go anyway, because I know people that started around the same time as I did. A close friend of mine, Julius, in the Netherlands, and his online fitness coaching business at the moment is crazy. He's selling merchandise, he's got his own pancake recipe, he's got supplements, he's got his own app, everything. It's like he's now in that moment of insane growth. So I probably could have done something with it, but for me at the time, it just didn't feel like right. I'm going in the right direction, but it's not fully the right direction.
Yeah.
So that is when I started looking at people that I'm coaching, like the fitness coaching, and I realized like they've still got a lot of things that's holding them back as well. Right. And it sort of comes down to those societal norms. Mm-hmm. So like because obviously I was in uni, so that was sort of my target audience as well.
Right.
And what I would see is like during the week, Monday to Friday, these people would be on their goals, they'd be going to the gym, they'd be sticking to their health regime, they're sticking to their macronutrients. But then of a weekend, it was like, out
the window.
Go out, they'd completely throw their diet out the window, etc. It just wasn't, a sustainable thing for them. And that made me realize like they also sort of, struggling with those societal norms. It wasn't just the fitness aspect, that I needed to tackle. it was sort of the whole lifestyle. So that really got me thinking, like, okay, fitness is sort of only one part of the puzzle.
Yes.
And I wouldn't call it an epiphany moment, but I realized like I need to do more than just like the fitness stuff.
Right.
This sort of, where like sort of like the universe like conspires to help you make things happen. I started 100%. Getting, because people were seeing my content on Instagram and on YouTube, etc. And I started getting people asking me for like promotional videos and like influencer marketing. And that's when I started looking into that. Influencer marketing, not as much, but the promo videos, I thought, okay, there's something in that. I remember the first business that actually asked me for a promo video was, it was basically, I wouldn't like, like cherry pickers where like,
yeah.
So it was a cherry picker company in the Netherlands, and I charged them, because I had no idea how much to charge for stuff like that. I charged them €100. And it probably cost me more than petrol to actually go down there. It was like the south of Holland. But just the fact that I could record a video, just one video, and charge €100 for it, like for me, that was sort of a like eye opener. I thought, okay, that's the very first time I've done that. No prior experience, no degree. They just asked me. I give them a random price and accepted it. And it all sort of happened through email, and they basically approached me because of the internet.
Wow.
Okay, so there's something here. Like I need to
figure out. All the things were coming together. Internet,
yeah, exactly. All the pieces
social media
were slowly getting to where I wanted to go. And then, just like I went from content creation to social media manager, where I started managing, accounts on social media for clients. And then 2017, 2018 is obviously when Facebook ads started to slowly pick up.
Right. Now you're the genius at Facebook ads.
Yeah, and then that's, well, to be fair, even that's a story in its own, how I sort of got to that point. But then I started offering basically, I used to call it social media management, and then I went to social media marketing.
Right.
Basically, it's what I now do is I offer Facebook ads to large e-com stores, large e-com businesses, and help them get more sales. But then like this is like 2018, something like that. Starts to realize that, okay, I could do this completely from my laptop and even on my phone if I really wanted to.
I
can do it completely remote. All I need is Wi-Fi and a laptop. And then, obviously fresh out of uni, wanting to travel, I started to leverage the fact that I can work from my laptop, started traveling. And it was 2018 where I was in a different country every single month.
Wow.
And obviously, a few close countries, so Belgium and London a few times.
Yeah.
But still, I was still in a different country every single month. And that was probably, I ever look back, if I had to like pick out a best year, like from my whole life, so far, it'll probably be 2018, just for the fact that I was, I sort of did what I finally, when you finally realize like something is possible.
Yeah. And you actually do it.
Yeah, that was that year for me. And obviously, met a lot of people along the way. Obviously, we kept in touch. Quentin and Jovan, we just spoke about before. I've met up with them a couple of times. For those that don't know, digital marketers from Canada who are actually currently in Mexico. Met up with those guys in London. Then I met up with them in Toronto. Met up with them in Bali a year later. My former business partner, Bradley Riley, who I also only know through the internet, met up with him a couple of times. So he came on board with the agency as well. He had this, he had the structure in place, just not the branding. And I had the opposite. I had the brand and I had the idea. I just didn't
fit it together perfectly.
So it was just, at the time, it was just a perfect combination.
Love that.
We started working on the agency together. After 2 years, we parted ways. He's still a very close friend of mine. But we were too similar. We were too alike. We were both sort of the back end systems person, and we needed someone on the front end to do the
right.
So in the end, we thought, okay, it's actually best for us to part ways because we're too similar.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then we got towards like the end of 2019. Where now because of the pandemic, it's sort of all mushed into one. I'm trying to think, was it 2019 or was it 2020? I think it was 2019 because
it was just 20 pandemic. That was just that's the year.
So I think this is now 2019. I went, I did a road trip.
Right. That was the one in America, wasn't it?
Yeah, the US road trip. So basically 7 weeks doing the whole East Coast of America. Again, something that I never thought was actually possible. It's one of them bucket list things that, you'd always think, okay, I want to do that at some point in my life, but to do that so soon, without really having to look at, okay, how much is going to cost?
Yes.
This,
so were you at that point in 2019 where you could just say, like, you had the cash flow coming in from your business? Is that how you were able to fund that?
Yeah. So everything that I've mentioned, like up till now, like all the traveling, etc., that was purely through the business. Quick side note, like so even to this day, so I've only this year started taking a wage from the business.
Wow.
So up until this point, I've basically kept everything in the business for 2 reasons. Obviously, I want to leverage the business to get mortgages.
Definitely.
For myself, obviously, to move out, because I started all this from my bedroom at my parents' house. But also because I'm very interested in property, and I basically buy property by leveraging the agency.
Yeah, you can do it through a business, very tax efficient, can't you?
Yeah. So so only this year I've actually started taking a wage from the business.
Wow. And you've been in this journey for how long? 5, 6?
2016. 7? What are we in now? No, I'd say because 2016 was obviously the transition year. I officially started the agency Brampreneur in 2017, towards the end of 2017.
Right.
So let's say 2018. So 4 years, I'd say, properly.
Right. And that's what a lot of people don't see. They don't see they see you living that lifestyle, but obviously a lot of that was business based. Like you're probably very tax efficient with it. Do you know what I mean? You can expense a lot of that stuff. Yeah,
well, that's it. Because it's very new as well. Online marketing, it's a very large gray area. Yeah. So technically, everything can be a business expense. Because when you travel, obviously, everything had a business tint to it. Like the people I meet, obviously they're friends, or it's business related because they're also entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
Every meal you eat, everywhere you go, every flight you take is classed as a business expense. So that's why I've never felt the need to actually take money out of the business.
Yeah. If
you take money out of the business, you pay tax over it.
Exactly.
Obviously, it depends on what kind of business structure you have, but that's sort of the way it is.
Yeah.
And of course, all of these expenses, like the travel and like the hotels, like the flights, etc., they will obviously bring down your profits on paper. If that makes sense. You pay less tax again. But it's actually in our best interest to do a lot of travel and a lot of live that sort of that lifestyle that you see on the internet, because it actually works out better for you tax wise.
That's kind of the avenue what I'm, again, intuitively, it's just the name of the podcast. Intuitively, I want to go down that route, actually, is like, if you're comfortable with that, because like I've seen you do all that stuff, and going down the route of how to. One thing I want to help people understand, which I'm not a genius in business. I'm still running my business. I've had a lot of money. I've had not much money, but I understand the ins and outs of basic business. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not a genius in it. And I'm not saying you're classing yourself as a genius, whether you are, whether you're not. But what I want to understand and help people understand is, one, how they can earn more money, especially in a time like now. Like you said, we've never met each other, but I would consider you a friend.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And we've probably only spoken a handful of times properly, but we've done it all online, and we've connected, and we've sort of, like, you've helped me out with some stuff, and I hope I've helped you out with some stuff. Like, it's been that kind of relationship. But like you said, we earn both of our incomes online solely. Like, that's why we have the ability to do that. And I want to, first of all, encourage people how they can move into that. And also, like you said, finding different routes, because I also, for anyone listening, I started in the social media marketing industry. That's how me and Josh originally connected. But I stopped to pursue what I'm doing now. And like you said, when you started, you didn't start with social media marketing, you started in the fitness industry. And maybe going around there of like how we can do that. And like you said, I think, and what you said is really interesting. The universe transpires in certain ways, because from when I first met you, you're not a spiritual person, really, are you at all?
Not really, no.
Not really, but
you should tell the story the first time we actually we did like a session.
What, we did hypnosis?
Yeah,
that was interesting, wasn't it? You went literally out for the count, for the absolute count, and that was one of the first times I've ever 2 people have ever fallen asleep on me in hypnosis. And when that happened, I was like, I genuinely didn't even know that was possible. Like, I did not know that was possible. And you were like, what just happened?
That, to be fair, that was the best nap I've probably ever had. Such a deep sleep. I woke up and you're just staring at me on the screen.
And you were only gone for a couple of minutes. Like, really, like, it must have been like 5 minutes.
I felt like I was gone for like a good half hour at least.
He woke up and he just goes, How long have you been watching me for? I was like, oh, it's only been about 5 minutes. You're like, that felt like ages.
That's crazy. Yeah. So backstory to obviously that event, because actually this ties sort of in nicely where I was going to go to with the story. So 2019 US road trip. Obviously, because this, like I said, I was used to just going small trips, you know, a few days here, a few days there, working from my laptop. Had my business partner sort of holding the fort, and vice versa. You know, if he went traveling, I used to hold down the fort. And then, like I said, we parted ways because we realized, like, okay, if we really want to scale our businesses and our income, we need to part ways, and we need to do this, you know. So we did that, but I ended up, you know, obviously, you know, doing that road trip. And around this time, Facebook was also doubling down on their, you know, advertising policies. Right. So here I am, traveling to the US, logging in from different locations. Facebook are flagging that as suspicious.
Really?
Yeah, they're flagging this as suspicious activity because they're seeing just a random IP address that's always logging in from the Netherlands, is now, you know, logging in from random places in the US. And obviously before that, I'd met up with Quentin and Jovan, who we just mentioned before. And these guys went from 0 to 7 figures in 53 days with an automated webinar funnel. Crazy. So I met up with these guys in Bali that same year, 2019, and they taught me exactly how to do it. So they gave me everything from the funnel, the templates, the scripts, the swipe files, everything. And I set that up while I was in the US. But like I said, when they did it, Facebook was lenient with the policies. Right. And then while I was in the US, Facebook doubled down on those advertising policies, became stricter. Yes. So here I am, you know, logging in from different locations, running an automated webinar whilst also managing my clients. Facebook basically just said, listen, you know, we just need to pull the plug on this guy. And I actually got like a personal profile restriction. So not only did I get all my clients' ad accounts banned, but my business manager got taken down as well. And my personal profile, still to this day, it's permanently restricted from running ads. So for those of you that are in the media space, you'll know how like severe that is. You guys will know that. So I lost a couple of clients on that trip, and I came back, got in touch with a affiliate marketer in the Netherlands as well, who was sort of like following my journey, and basically, you know, he's just saw this random guy just traveling the world, but also being from quite a local place in the Netherlands. Yes. So he said, you know, we should meet up, we should connect. And I'm actually on the verge of signing quite a big client. So we ended up collaborating on that one client. It was a 10,000 euros a month deal, 15% of the back end. So this is an 8-figure company that was basically willing to spend. They had unlimited ad spend, and they were going to try and compete with Netflix, or so they said. They were going to try and compete with Netflix, and they basically said, if this is profitable, you know, you can chuck as much money as you want at it because we've got, you know, basically unlimited ad spend here, provided that it's profitable. So what I did then was I set up a holding company and then employed. So I basically had my own business as a business unit under that holding company, and then employed myself under the holding company, which in theory, if all this worked out, was the best move. But that client, the whole back end deal never really came to fruition just because of, like I said, Facebook's policies were changing, and we just didn't read the fine print. You know, there was a lot of, so basically it was a subscription. So we thought, okay, so the subscribers from month 1 will stay in month 2. So our income will extrapolate. So we worked out that basically we'd earn an extra 7 figures, you know, in the first year of working with this client. What we didn't realize was the lifetime value was literally 10 minutes. So someone would join the trial and then they'd cancel straight after because of the licenses, etc., with films and series. The platform just wasn't good enough. You know, they'd come and they'd see a lot of old films, you know, there wasn't any incentive for the subscribers to stay. So they cancelled straight away once they see, you know, what kind of films were available. So that client never actually ended up becoming the client we wanted it to be.
So you pretty much did everything that you were going to say, but they couldn't deliver on their end effectively.
Yeah and no. So obviously, it's just because I always think like, what could I have done different in the situation? Right. And it was just a learning curve for me. Like, okay, don't
assume.
Don't count your chickens before they've hatched, and of course, make sure you read the fine print,
especially with 8-figure companies.
Yeah, like I said, so I've set up, the holding company. I've set up a business unit below it. I've employed myself, etc. And the 10,000 a month, like I said, it sounds like quite a lot of money, but there's two of us. So I've also got my business partner. So you divide that by two. Because I set up that holding company, and the way it was structured, in the Netherlands, they class you as a business director, which means that you also should be giving yourself a business director's wage, which is like 45 to 50K a year, which means that you also pay tax over that. Whether you give yourself that money or not, you still pay tax over what you should be giving yourself.
Wow.
So of that, the 10K has, been split into two. Plus, we rented office space from the same company, because this company is in the center of Amsterdam. So it's like one of the busiest streets of Amsterdam. Like, have you ever been to have you been to Amsterdam?
I've been to Amsterdam, once.
Have you been to the Heineken Museum?
Yes, I have.
So it's a building next to that.
Wow.
That was our client base, and we we hired a whole floor of them.
Wow.
5K a month. So the 10K turned into 5K. Then divided by two is 2.5K each.
Yeah.
I paid 1,300 a month tax just because of the structure. So again, that's almost half.
Yeah.
Then you've got your train fees, etc. Because at the time I was not living in Amsterdam. So I ended up just making like 1,000 a month off this client, which is almost the same as a regular client that I'd get online. So after all that structure, etc., it ended up not being as much as I anticipated, especially because the back end deal never and I had to just basically shut the whole thing down. We told the client at first, okay, we don't want to rent the office space, but it's cutting too much into our margins. And to be fair, after a whole winter of going back and forth to Amsterdam, I was like, this is not why I wanted to start business.
Yes.
So, we said, listen, we don't want the office space, but they were already used to having us one floor below. Right. So they knew if they wanted to contact us, they didn't have to email, they didn't have to schedule a call. They could just walk downstairs and we're there. Yeah. So they were used to that, and they said, listen, guys, it's not going the way we want to anyway. Because like I said, there was a lot of restrictions with Facebook.
Right.
So if you guys want to work remote, then we might just have to end this deal.
Wow.
And then it's one of them, right? Because obviously social proof wise, having this client, the 10K, it's a lot of social proof, but it's not making me happy, nor is it actually getting me the money that I want to get from it. So after a week of sort of soul searching, my business partner and I both said, let's leave it. It's not worth the stress. So we ended up, basically tearing up that deal and both sort of working from home again. And around this time was when we actually got in touch, because then you mentioned that you were basically doing the hypnotherapy, and I was stressed out back then. I don't know, I was really anxious, okay, what's the next step? Because bear in mind, I lost a lot of clients in my US road trip. Right. Then Facebook restricted me from actually running ads for new clients. And then obviously, the whole business venture that I had going, I had to break down again, which I think I ended up paying an extra 7K just to take down this whole structure. Wow. Because in the Netherlands, to be fair, probably the same everywhere, you can't just randomly stop a limited company or a holding company. You need to still file taxes for that year. You still need to do your quarterly, income report, etc. And I've never done that before in my life. So even for my own company, I always had an accountant. Right. So I didn't have the knowledge anyway. But now all of a sudden I need to do taxes for a holding company. Which, like I said, no idea. So I had to sort of get an accountant to that as well. I ended up, like I said, the whole sort of breaking down of that company ended up costing me an extra 7K. So I'm stressed out of my mind, right? And then Max comes along and says, I'm actually doing hypnotherapy. I'm actually getting quite good results with it. Was it NLP as well?
Yeah, hypnotherapy, NLP. That's where I first started with NLP, and then I moved on to hypnosis. Yeah, and I was like, Max, this is great, but I don't really believe in all this stuff. I just need to sort I need to sort my shit out. And he's like, well, let's just hop on Zoom. Let's just give it a go, and let's see if we can help each other out, because I want to pick your brain on some things, and maybe I can
help you out with some stuff as well. I remember the first thing you asked me was, do you believe in hypnosis? And I said no. And then you said, are you, what's the word? Like, you get hypnotized easily, something along those lines.
Suggestible.
Yeah, that was it. So I said, well, I don't know. I've never actually tried it. And then you basically did something where you said, like, hold your hands and have your fingers apart. And when your fingers touch, you'll be in hypnosis. And that's literally the last thing I know, guys. Like, I just had a nap, woke up, and this guy's staring at me at the screen. It's like, yo, what just happened? That was crazy. But I remember, like, to this day, that was probably one of the most, like, the freakiest experiences I've ever had. But
the cool thing is, and that's what I like to do with people, is I like to give someone an experience, because like you said, like, that was 3 or 4 years ago that we did that.
2020, I think, or
2020. All right, 2020. And you'll never forget that. And I remember do you know what I mean? You'll never forget that. And you remember, because we programmed, if anyone listening is familiar with Pavlov's dogs, and something just called conditioning, we conditioned basically your microphone on your desk. It's easy. I even remember it. We conditioned your microphone on your desk to have that confidence when you would speak to clients, because like you said, you were dropping clients at one time, and you didn't want to go in with that needy energy. And I remember you then saying, I'm not sure how far it was after that, but you said you started getting some more clients again, didn't you?
Yeah. I was like I said, that was a whole, just a whole crazy experience. And I definitely think I believe more in all of this now, post like session than I did back then. But yeah, it's like, you know, when you sort of like, when the pendulum swings, and you sort of get back into it, you build that momentum.
Yes.
Right after that call, it just started to go well again. I think it also comes down to how you approach those calls.
100%.
So like, if you're more relaxed, which is obviously, you know, the whole reason why we had that session in the first place, was because I was losing clients.
Right.
So when I was getting on calls, I was needy. You know, I wasn't willing to walk away from a deal if it wasn't a good deal. Usually clients can sense that, right? It's like approach a girl in the club. Like, if you come in needy, like, immediately, you know,
buying her drinks, trying to
that you'll repel, like, those girls. And it's the same with business. Like, if you come in wanting the deal more than them, chances are that'll never happen. But if you approach a call, or a sales call, or a deal as in, like, okay, we're going to potentially create a win-win situation. If it's not a win-win, then we both walk away, no hard feelings. It'll be much more relaxed for you, but also you'll notice that many more deals will go your way, because 100%. You've just separated yourself from the yes.
Definitely.
Walk away. And I've still got the same mic on my desk. You know,
love it. You'll never sell it. You'll be like 70 years old, still using the same mic. Like, it gives me confidence. That's it.
Yeah, 100%.
But I wanted to go into that, actually, because what was it, last year? So 2020 was a very good year for me financially. I made a lot of money. I made the most money I ever made ever. Like, some months I was doing 10K, and obviously I'm the only person that I pay. I outsource some things here and there, and I have all my softwares and whatever. But when in 2020, I remember, and it was just a win after win after win after win, and I was just like, this is insane. And even 2021, I had more knowledge, but I had more ability to help people, but for some reason it was just started to go downhill. And I was thinking about it. I was like, what is the difference? What am I doing differently? What am I doing wrong? Because clearly something's not working. And now when I jump on a call, whenever I speak to anyone, it's always like, I'm not here to sell you anything at all. I'm here to tell you what I do. And if you're in the right place, and because it's because we're in a slightly different industry. I'm going direct to a consumer, whereas you're going sort of B2B. They have a marketing budget. Do you know what I mean? But there's still that fear, like you said, of, are they going to say yes? And this sort of thing happens. And it sounds like you got to that understanding as well, where what I was at, when I was like, now when I speak to people, I'm like, look, this is what I offer, this is how much I charge. Like, that's it. Like, if you like, and I always say, like, I have so much stuff, and that's why I rate your stuff so much as well, is because you don't just offer a service, you also make free YouTube videos, you also have free content. And like, I know some of the people that you work with one-to-one that that you help grow their agencies, which we'll definitely dive into, you give them sort of tools to help them as well, and people that want to grow an agency. So that understanding where you're not going needy with things, I think is big for anyone, whether you're starting a business, and even whether you're watching this and you just want to like find the person of your dreams. You know what I mean? Going in with that needy energy itself is never going to serve you. And it's like, how can you get to that point where you don't need, you just sort of are valuable? And I spoke about this in a video the other day. I was talking about askers, attractors, and waiters. And an asker is someone who asks for opportunities, and they're usually the more confident people. Like you and me are we're very similar in the sense that we're both introverts. We don't we have to work hard to become insanely valuable, so that an asker comes up to us asking for us for an opportunity. And like I say, being an asker and an attractor, it doesn't mean you're working like harder or less than the other. It's just your preference. And like, from how I know you definitely come across as more of an attractor who is an insanely valuable person that knows how to help businesses, that knows how to help people run businesses. And like you said, what are you at now, if you don't mind me asking, like in regards to your agency? Like what figures are you hitting? Are you 6, 7? Like where are you at?
So what we've actually done now this year, so last year for 2021, I think it was 208k profit.
Wow.
Which is like the best year I've ever had.
Wow.
But what I've noticed is that the only way I can grow is by getting more clients. And that means that, because let's say, so every deal is structured different, because it is sort of based on our negotiation skills to a certain degree, but also what can the client afford,
right?
And what can be a win-win situation. There's no point in charging 5k if a business only has like a $200 ad budget.
Exactly.
So it's based on a few different things, but on average, I'd say our retain is £1,500 a month.
Right. So it's not insane. It's not insane money. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're
not compared to like the results that we're getting at the moment.
Yeah, and you get good. Like I can vouch for Josh. I look at your stuff and I'm like, you're literally spending like $1,000, and you're returning, like, from what I may be butchering this, but from what I saw, it was something like you paid, it was like $1,000 to $5,000, and you were returning like 50 to 70k or something ridiculous like that. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, we've for some of our clients, we're averaging a return has been of 10. So that means for every dollar we spend, we're getting $10 back. So we spend 10k, you're getting 6 figures back.
Wow.
But yeah, like I said, so let's say our average is 1,500 a month, and you want to get up to 7 figures a year, which isn't necessarily my goal, but it's sort of something that you start thinking about, right? Like once you've covered all your costs, you're in a good place with your agency. You start to get aspirations to see, okay, how far can you actually take this? But so 7 figures, $1 million a year is 83k a month.
Right.
So if we're charging, like I said, 1,000 to 1,500, you're looking at 50 to 80 clients that you need to serve.
And that's a lot.
And just so everyone knows how my agency is structured, outreach, so approaching businesses, getting calls scheduled with business, etc. That is sort of automated / outsourced. So we have emails going out. We've got appointment setters that work, all around the clock. We've got referrals, of course, and we run our own Facebook ads.
Right.
The great thing about that is when they hop on a call, they immediately know, the power of it, because otherwise we'd never be speaking in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's sort of outsourced and delegated. And then the sales is done by my head of operations, Elliot. So he does all the sales and most of the communication as well. And then on the back end, I'm the one that runs all of the ads.
Wow.
So for those I thought he was banned, I basically recreated the whole Facebook profile. So there's 2 Joshua Daniel Georges now on Facebook. One is a restricted one that I still actually use, for the personal brand. And then I've got one with no content or presence. I just use it to log into Facebook.
Right.
But I run the ads for my clients. I'm the one that runs, I do all of the back end stuff. So for me to manage 80 clients, that's a lot. So that's no way forward. If I really want to scale this further, then I either need to hire a media buyer, which obviously comes into your profit margins. And, like I said, it's either going to be more moving parts,
Yeah.
or, I need to work hard and work longer. That's obviously not why I wanted
Yeah,
to
exactly.
do this. So then
Why do you want to do it out of interest?
What, online marketing?
Yeah, why do you want to have that? Because obviously I know financial free, like you said, you're not necessarily looking for that next million, and you're not like thriving for like, I need 10 million, 100 million, I need to get to that point. Like, what is your reason why you do all this?
Yeah, so it is still to live life on my own terms.
On your own
To be
terms.
able to, like I said, because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to do much traveling, but
Yeah.
it is basically, be able to work from your laptop, regardless of which city, place, or country you're in. And then my vehicle to get there has just been, social media marketing and Facebook ads.
Yes.
And now it's, where like over time, when you get really good at something, that you actually become passionate about that thing.
Yes.
That's sort of now also what I've got with Facebook. I actually enjoy getting results for clients.
Yeah. Well, that and that's the thing. That's the interesting thing, because when I talk to a lot of people, like my biggest thing is sort of happiness and fulfillment. Like that's the biggest thing. But a lot of people that are in that sort of mind frame, which I was a few years ago, was happiness and fulfillment has nothing to do with money. And I'm like, not necessarily true, because I, like right now, I'd say I'm happy. I'm not earning loads of money right now. And I've actually earned more money in the past.
Yeah.
But when I was earning money as well, it just gave me more freedom to not worry at all, because money doesn't do anything. Money doesn't make us happy. It gives us a base level of like safety, and a base level of sort of certainty as well, which I think everyone does need. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, to sort of help encourage someone listening, that whether they want to start a business, whether they want to start an Instagram account and go that way. Because like you said, which I know exactly the same when it came to social media, when I first started my Instagram page, I blocked every single person that I knew, everyone. And I remember it was ridiculous. I was petrified of what they would think of me. And at that time, I think all I was posting was like luxury stuff. So like I was posting like luxury stuff. And then when I started to post videos of myself talking on stories, literally like, hey guys, like, have a good day. Make sure today's a great, like just trying to be motivational and stuff like that. I was petrified. And one of my friends actually I was at home and he was around my house. I didn't even tell my mum and sister that I was doing this, but he basically said to me, he was chatting away, and then my mum and sister started talking about my Instagram account, and I was like, oh no. And he's like, oh, I'll follow you. And I'm like, I literally like had to log onto my phone, unblock him, and just sit there, just like nothing's happened, because I was petrified. And that's actually what I want to ask you. When you first started that, like, what helped you get over that barrier? Because so many people are stuck at that barrier of, I want to, like you said, realistically, starting an Instagram account isn't much, but at that moment in time, that was probably 90% of everything. Like that, if you wouldn't have started that Instagram, you probably wouldn't be doing what you're doing today. Do you know what I mean? Because that led you to this. How did you know that it was so important that you had to do it? Like, even though you were petrified, how did you know that you could do it?
It's weird. Like, it is obviously, my granddad. Like, if he never would have passed away, that probably would have never have made me think, what I'm actually doing.
Wow.
So I think it was sort of like, I wanted to do him proud by sort of, taking that leap and sort of living like with his motto, right? Which, is, we owe them none, which, means just do what you want, do what you believe in. So it was like, I don't know what the word is, like an ode, it's the...
Yes. I know
my granddad. So that got me started. And so I've had the same group of friends since I was like 3 years old. We all grew up in the same neighborhood, all went to the same school, etc. Wow. So it's a real tight-knit group. And I still speak to these guys, on a weekly basis to this day, even though I'm doing something completely different than most of them. And I had the same thing what you had. Like, it was so scary I was like, I didn't want to keep her a secret, because I knew that if they'd find out, that would be even worse.
Yeah.
I didn't want to tell them either. So I sort of subtly mentioned that, I might do something with fitness. I might do something on Instagram, because I'm seeing people are getting traction with it. And sort of brushed it off as like, it's not actually a big deal. I might post every now and again. But then obviously, in the back end, I'm really like,
getting ready to send.
I'm like a duck. So like above the water, I'm all calm. When underwater, I'm like that. I make this way. But that was probably one of the most scary things. Where I tell my friends, I wasn't really so bothered about like on people that I like you don't know or people that see you on the internet. It's more like, okay, make sure my friends are supportive, at the very least, or not hating on it. I was always going to do it, but I just wanted some kind of support from them.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And I like where this conversation is going, actually, because we've been talking about like finances and business and stuff like that. But I like where this is going because it comes down to sort of like being secure enough in ourselves that like you said, we and we do want approval. Do you know what I mean? We do want approval from people around us, and regardless of like how confident someone is. Like, I'm a very confident person, but I still, like, even with my clients, when a client messages me saying how much they've changed, that is literally a weight lifted off my shoulder, because every time I go into work with it really is, because like you, like, I know you're a good-hearted person. Do you know what I mean? I only, like, when I connect to people, I stay in contact with people that I know are good people. Do you know what I mean? And there's quite a few good people that I've met around the world through social media, and you're definitely one of them. And when I like get that that confirmation that my work is doing what is it's worth it. Do you know what I mean? It's worth it to them. That's like, it's kind of like a sigh of relief, but also like, that's why I do it. That is why I do it. And go on.
Yeah. No, definitely, man. Yeah, definitely agree. It's funny, isn't it? Because like this conversation again is just sort of reiterates like how much emotions and feelings still play out. Like, as much as we want to be like these robots that just wake off the date, a lot of emotion and
human, man.
And I read a tweet yesterday. I think it was Alex Hormozy. I'm not 100% sure who the tweet was from, but he basically said, when I was 20, I wanted to be a millionaire. Now that I'm a millionaire, I want to be 20 again.
Yes.
Wow, that's deep stuff, man. That's heavy.
It is, man.
And it just goes to show that money is not everything. Happiness and fulfillment is probably 10 times as important. And of course, it's easy to say that once you've gotten to a certain financial point.
Definitely.
You haven't got the stresses of making sure that all your costs are covered, etc. I get that. I'm not trying to say that that's not the case, but I definitely think that fulfillment, happiness, living life on your terms, like those, that's the North Star. And then you basically need to reverse engineer that and then make that work financially as well.
Definitely. Do you know what's really interesting? Because there's a lot of people in sort of the business world, they tend to start off first with making money. And I don't think there's a right way of doing it. I think every way is unique for everyone else. Mine was the total opposite. I actually started with sort of that confidence, that happiness and fulfillment, that spiritual growth, that spiritual connection. Then the business stuff started to come. What was your route with that? Did you start off sort of with business and then sort of come across, oh, actually the business making money can help me live life on my own terms? Or was that sort of the intention from the start?
No, because obviously the fitness stuff was purely out of passion. That was like, I did that just because I thought, these, because again, like, this is prior to me having any kind of online business knowledge.
Right.
So I'm just like an outsider looking in. I'm seeing these big fitness influencers.
Yes.
All I'm seeing them doing is vlogging.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically they're just doing what they love and no idea how, but they make it work. So that's how I started as well. I just thought, okay, well, let's just do what I actually enjoy doing, go in the gym, lifting weights, etc., and traveling. And then I started documenting that without any kind of business model or strategy behind it. Right. It was just like, it will come in some way, shape, or form. And then obviously the agency was, with that financial incentive in mind. So I did because I knew it was going to be a vehicle to get me to the next level, where it's truly living life on my own terms. But yeah, it started off purely out of passion.
Wow.
And then
that's interesting.
And then I got my business head screwed on. And then of course, like I said, because I'm good at what I do right now, it's become my passion.
Yes. You've developed a skill that it's like, realistically, anyone that's an incredible business person, they weren't born an incredible business person. They had to learn it. So like you said, you developed that. But that is actually, I absolutely love that. The fact that you said you started with your passion and you don't even do what you started with. Do you know what I mean? but that started what you're doing now. And like, that was a stepping stone. Like, for anyone listening, all I would encourage you is just that thing that you're passionate about, whether that is I don't know, playing a violin, like it could be anything, something that you can do. You weren't intentionally like, I'm going to make millions off this and going to do this. You didn't even intentionally know that you were going to run a business through it. You just said, I'm passionate about this. Let's see where it goes. And that in itself is, I think that's a beautiful thing, because I'm similar with you. I knew nothing, not a thing about editing videos, anything like that. But now I genuinely love YouTube. I genuinely love it. And I've not got loads. I've only got like 3,000 to 300 subscribers or something like that, nearly that. And I've posted loads. I post daily on there now. So I post a lot of videos, but I genuinely enjoy it. I genuinely enjoy making videos. It's something that I've developed a passion because I've learned how to do it. But yeah, before, you look at one of the first videos, when I tried to make a documentary when I did ayahuasca, and it's the worst thing you'll ever watch in your life. The music's too loud. The music's awful. I keep saying and like it's just dreadful, but it's a building block. And your first Instagram account was the building block, and that's what I want to encourage people to do, is like, don't like have an end goal in mind, but don't like that's it, because it's not gonna be it. Do you know what I mean? Like things change. Would you class yourself as an adaptable person, or is that something you had to learn?
I think I'm quite easy to adapt.
Right.
But with that said, I'm also very conscious of shiny object syndrome.
Right.
So I won't adapt right away. I will sort of see, okay, what is actually going on. And then I will make the transition. Even when, like, even to this day, like, if we lose a client, I'll always take a look, like, figure out, okay, why did this client actually leave? What is the main reason why the client left, and how can I improve my service moving forward? To make sure that it doesn't happen again. And sometimes that does mean, making changes that you'd rather not do, or, restructuring the offer that you're actually, offering. And when it comes to, even with the agency and social media marketing, yes, I'm very passionate about Facebook ads, but, if TikTok becomes the next big thing, then I'm going to jump on that.
Definitely.
And just, adapt as I go along. And then maybe in 5 years' time, we'll have
another platform,
the same interview, and be like, oh, well, did you always want to be a TikTok agency owner?
True. But we'll do it 5 years from today, 2027. We'll be chatting. We'll probably be connected in so many ways. I'm sure we will be. I'll probably be paying for you to do my ads. We've already spoken about this. But I think that's what you've just said, and from me just listening to the conversation and listening to what you've been saying, is I think that's what makes a good entrepreneur, is someone that all those things, like a lot of the things that you've said, most people will class some of them as failures, like starting the business account, starting the account on Instagram about fitness. Oh, I failed at that. Oh, we lost a client. We failed that client. And it's like, you're not even seeing it that way. And that's what I think makes a good entrepreneur. You're seeing it in a way that's like, okay, something's happened. Like, you're not looking at it good or bad. You're just like, something's happened and it's maybe detrimental to the business, but that's actually turned it around. And then interestingly, and also sort of God bless your granddad that passed, like you said, him passing encouraged you on this journey. And do you know what I mean? Like, from my spiritual point of view, like all these things that have happened that are seen as externally bad, like they've brought you to this point. Like, those lost clients have brought you the ability to become incredible at what you do. The passing of your granddad has lit a fire inside of you that has created a 6-figure business. Like that's stuff that doesn't happen every day. Do you know what I mean? Like, name I can't name many people that run 6-figure businesses. Like, I know a lot of people, like, after meeting them after it, but people that I personally have known from before I started this journey, I know no one that's ever started a 6-figure business. Like, after I've met quite a few, but yeah, all that stuff has really stemmed from potentially your point of view on things, and that is what I think is makes a good entrepreneur. So let's speak about that. Your point of view. have you always had this point of view that like, because winners have a point of view of, well, if I fail, I'll just try something else, or I'll get it, I'll make sure it works. Have you always had that point of view with the things that you do?
That's a good question. I've never really actually thought about it like that. I'd probably say no. I think it just sort of come over time. Right. I think after a certain amount of failures, you're sort of forced to adapt the way you look at things. Otherwise, it'll be a pretty depressing life. If wrong, you take to heart and really, stick to it. So yeah, I think perspective is everything, right? And I think you will learn perspective over time, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely.
So like I said, like the first few clients that dropped me or, that I lost, I really took to heart. And I really, I remember the very first official Facebook ads client I got was, I won't name the name of the business. It actually doesn't even exist anymore. That's, probably, explains enough. But what he wanted was management of his socials, including Twitter. Right. And I wanted to offer Facebook ads. Right. So I sort of tried to force, Facebook ads down this person's throat. Right. And I promised I'll also manage the socials and I also do, X amount. And I basically promised him the world just because I wanted the money, I wanted the clients in, I wanted to basically put on social media, just sign another client. So a week goes by and he asks, okay, so what's the Twitter growth like? I put up a few tweets on his Twitter, but other than that, I had like 8 followers, and those 8 were already, there when I took over the account. So 2 months went by, and in the end, he said, listen, this is not going to work out. You've ran a page like campaign on Facebook, and you've posted a few times on my Twitter, but other than that, you haven't really done much. And like I said, when he left, I really took this to heart, and I was also thinking, like, does this business model even work? Have I just been scammed into thinking, working from my laptop is possible and stuff like that? And now, like I said, when a client leaves now, it's just, okay, what could we have done better? Right. What do we need to change in our systems and processes to make sure that either doesn't happen again, or, that if it does happen, that we don't actually lose the client as a result of it.
Yes.
So I think being like flexible and adaptive will come over time, and you sort of learn through your failures.
Yeah. But like you said as well at the start, you did take that to heart. So someone who's just, if you're listening to this and you've just started a business or whatever it is, like, of course you're going to take it to heart. Like we look at people that are on step 100. I mean, someone who's coming to, and what I like about your business model when you help people, is it Consult X is your, like, where you help people build their agencies?
Yeah, so I've got 2 paid coaching programs. Okay. One is Lifestyle Design Mastery, which again also is because we're now on the 3.0 version. Right. So I've gone through, I wouldn't say 2 failed versions, but it's adapted twice now. Exactly. The very first version of Lifestyle Design, and obviously the whole name stems from that, was I wanted to teach people how to live life on their own terms. So I showed them every single business model I could think of. This was the longest course you'll probably ever come across. Hours and hours of content. And only 10 people ended up buying it. And those 10 just bought it because they knew me and they wanted to just buy into, like, sort of my vision. So I didn't get any results with it. People that joined the program, they got a bit of knowledge on every single business model out there, but none of them ended up, actually getting crazy results with it. And then I tweaked Lifestyle Design to Lifestyle Design 2.0, which is sort of the current form now, at the time of recording this. And that was just basically my business model. So social media marketing, how to start an agency, how to, get your first few clients, how to, set up your first systems, how to build, standard operating procedures, just getting started basically. But then also setting it up in such a way that you can actually earn 6 figures from it. Wow. And now, like I said, we're actually revamping that again to a 3.0 version, where it's just obviously a bit more up to date with the latest policy changes. Obviously, I've grown as a person in these last 18 months.
Yeah, so exactly.
A few little change of perspective. And like I said, every single time we lose a client, I make changes to my systems. So I want to also, give whoever uses the program those systems as well, those changes. And then Consult X is for those that have experience with the agency, already have everything up and running, but don't just want it to live life on their own terms, but actually want to build up,
a real business,
a proper empire. So my business partner on that program, Consult X, is a 7-figure agency owner. So that's not where I'm currently at, but the way he's systemized and structured his agency, he's, like I said, he's now a millionaire because of it. So it's for people that don't want to necessarily live life in their own terms, but actually want to get to that 7-figure mark.
Right.
And, Consult X is way forward.
But that's the thing, you're giving them sort of like where they're at as well. Do you know what I mean? You're not saying to, and that's the interesting thing. Like, even when I work with people, someone comes to me with anxiety, I'm not like, well, I'm not going to just click my fingers and you're going to be confident. I'm going to help you become less anxious. Then that less anxiousness can come into barely anxious. Then that barely anxious can become, I don't really get anxious. Then that can turn to, how can I become confident? And I suppose that's what I see in your work is, when someone's a baby, you don't teach them how to run a marathon. You're teaching them how to crawl, then walk, then jog, then run. And like you said, you've got that in place with all the stuff, and you've adapted that, you've changed it. And that's brought you, 1, fulfillment, 2, prosperity, and stemmed from something that didn't even exist 12 years ago, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think. Like that. Yeah, I think social media, I think so. Facebook ads 2013, 2014, something like that. Right. That's when I actually got introduced.
Right. So it's not even, and that's now created a lot of 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs through just ads alone. Which is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy in the way that, the industry moves so fast. It's funny. So I've got this tendency to rewatch the same 10 to 15 films. Yeah. I don't really like watching new films. It drives my girlfriend crazy because she does not like, if she's seen a film, she will not want to watch it again because she's like, I've seen it. I've seen the end, but there's no point in watching it again. And I'm like, I've just got I go on to Netflix and I'll literally go to, recently watched, and I'll just watch it again. And the reason being is because the industry moves so fast. And when I wind down, I want to sort of slow time down as well.
So you want to know what's going on?
So I'll watch something. I'll literally watch Back to the Future, which is a film from 1985. I'll just rewatch that just because I know where it begins, I know where it ends. There's no unpredictability. There's nothing I need to adapt or to change. I can just watch that and just zone out.
Love that.
And it's because, like I said, the industry does move very, very fast.
Yeah.
It might be intimidating for, some of you that haven't completely started yet, etc. But it also creates massive opportunity because everyone's adapting. So whether or not you jump on the bandwagon now or in 6 months' time, because everything is changing so much, when you jump on, it's sort of still a level playing field.
Yes.
To actually get started. I'm using Facebook as an example now, but this is the industry as a whole. Before COVID, how many people were on TikTok? Before that first lockdown, it was just the wild, wild west, right? No one was there, and now it's massive.
I'd say it's probably one of the most used platforms now, surely.
Yeah, I read something the other day that it's actually got more watch time than YouTube.
Doesn't surprise me because it's so addictive. You just scroll, and I'm one that encourages to not use social media as much, but I get stuck on it, and that's what I want to prove. That's what I like where this conversation's gone, is someone who on the outside people would look at you and go, damn, he's lucky, he's running a 6-figure agency, he's so lucky, man. It's like, no, what you've just heard from Josh say about how you had ad accounts banned, you probably were absolutely crapping yourself, what's going to happen, how am I going to sort this? I've got clients, to then losing clients, to then getting to that point where you're doing that. That in itself is a growth process that I know you do a lot of personal development. I know you do a lot of reading. You're on my book right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Enjoying it?
Yeah, I really am enjoying it. It's weird because I know it's you, but when you read it, it's I don't know. I feel like the authority of you in the book. It's hard to explain. I'll try and
take that as a compliment. I will actually. I like that.
It's weird reading a book about someone personally. If that makes sense.
Because you hear it in their voice, don't you?
Yeah. It's a very, very good read. It's very good. And anyone who hasn't read it yet or picked it up, I highly recommend you do so.
Yeah, I recommend you do as well.
It's funny, I feel like I'm reading the book at the right time.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Interesting. I was talking to one of my clients the other day, actually, and I said, when I work with people, what my clients need at that time tends to happen to me in my life. And one of my clients was saying about how she's really struggling to say no to people. And like, even if a better opportunity arises, how do you just say no to other people? Like you said, if there's an opportunity for a business, and like you said, it's just managing social media right now, you'd be like, I'm not going to do that. That's not worth my time. Whereas before, you needed it. You wanted to do it because that was where you were at. And like you said, you're on that development journey. But when stuff like that happens, like an opportunity to Mexico came, and I was like, in my opinion, like, you got to do what you got to do. Do you know what I mean? And I already committed to something, but I said I can't do it. And just mainly because the financials weren't there for me. So I was like, it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, something that my clients always need tends to happen to me. And I was like, I'm in the perfect job. I'm doing it. And I feel like I'm just a walking synchronicity for people. And that's my goal with all my stuff, is hopefully all my stuff reaches the right people at the right time. So it's a interesting thing. So let's say there's someone listening to this who was at where you were a while ago, when you wanted to start, you didn't really know what you wanted to do. Like, what would you actually encourage them to get started with if they want to earn? That doesn't have to be 7 figures. It may be 7 figures, depending on what their goals are, but earn more money from their own terms, so that they can. Not saying they have to, because like you said, you are building your business from the Netherlands. I'm not sure if you are going to be traveling much more. If you want to come out to Mexico when I'm there, brother, come out.
You should say that, because I actually looked into is it Tulum?
Yeah, Tulum's not far from Playa del Carmen, actually.
Yeah, I've actually looked into that for this year, so that might actually be on the cards.
Consider it. We'll definitely chat about that. But let's say someone is at that point in their life where they're not really sure, but they do want to earn more money and they do want to live on their own terms, whether that is a laptop from their bedroom, that a laptop from an office, a laptop from home, a laptop from an office space. How would you sort of, like, what do you wish someone could have given you, told you, or like encouraged you to do back then that could have maybe sped up your process?
Yeah, interesting. So I think for me, because one thing that I was very reluctant to do back then is to invest money into myself. And like I said, obviously, it's easier once, if you've got money, it's easier to spend it. I don't want to say that, you need to spend your last penny and invest in coaching and stuff like that. I definitely don't mean that. But I think I could have sped up my learning curve, my learning process, if I would have gone bigger back then.
Right.
So like, if I look at, again, go back to Quentin and Jovan, like when they made $1 million in 53 days, they done that because they went all in on that webinar. It worked, and they just spent as much money as they could because they knew that equation. They knew, okay, X amount of money in equals X amount of money out.
Right.
So they went all in on that. And while I was, sort of working out on that road trip, basically, mapping out where we want to go, etc., the webinar for me was also up and running. It was also working. It was also profitable. But I didn't go all in on it. And obviously, when I wanted to go all in on it, obviously, it already got taken down by Facebook. But I didn't really fully take that opportunity.
Right.
And also, when you look at when YouTube ads, etc., were in its infancy, and a lot of sort of gurus that are now extremely big on YouTube, to this day, across all the industries, they went all in on YouTube ads.
Yeah.
And again, that's sort of a missed opportunity for me, because I dabbled into it, but I didn't go all in.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. So I think for anyone now sort of considering, what to do, etc., definitely look at your passions, look at what you're passionate about. It's much easier to fail something that you actually enjoy doing than it is just, failing something that, you weren't passionate about at all. You just did it for money. At least get enjoyment and, joy from the journey part of it. Definitely. And like I said, it won't necessarily, go right away. That's why I said, fail at something you enjoy rather than fail at something that you don't enjoy. But just get started. An object in motion stays in motion. So by, basically starting, you'll figure out along the way, what the right path is.
That's it,
like I said, for me, I've gone from fitness to content creation to social media management to Facebook ads, and then obviously now with the coaching as well. There's so many little mini steps along the way, and like we just mentioned before, in 5 years' time, it might be completely different, and I've added 5 more steps to that.
Yeah.
But just by getting started, you will get into the swing of things.
So basically, that's what I'm sort of taking from that is get started. Like don't, like, you can always stop and do the next thing, basically. Yeah. So like, if it is like, if you want to start a social media page based on meditation, go for it. That may not be your be all and end all. It could be, for all we know, it could be. If you want to do it. Yeah. Exactly. And then that could turn into, like, even for me, like when I started, and it's a common theme with, I believe, successful people, and not fast successes, because we may look at like your journey and say it's a fast success. I think, like, not really. You've been a steady success, and they're the ones that outlast everyone. Do you know what I mean? Because you've also built a passion with it. There's a bit of like hate, like, I need to do this better. So then there's sort of like that love-hate relationship that builds more passion in what you're doing, I think.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that as well, because for me, I feel like a lot of people have started later than I have, and basically made it way quicker and scaled it quicker, etc. as well. For me, the process actually feels like very slow and tedious.
Yeah.
That's because I'm living it every single day. Whereas when you look at other people's like Instagram highlights, etc., it's literally a highlight. You can just see a little snippet of that person's day. Yeah. And it's like I said, for me it feels slow, but it's just, again, it's all perspective.
That's it, man. Because I'm the same. Like, when I think about it, I'm like, it takes time. It's taking me time. And I've had times where I do want to quit what I'm doing, but then I think about it and I'm like, I can't quit. I enjoy it too much. I love getting those comments from people saying, you don't realize what you've done. Like that, honestly, it literally brings a tear to my eye. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't beat that. No amount of money. Like, someone could offer me a 7-figure a year contract at a job, I wouldn't take it. I would not take it. I just, like, for me, freedom is everything. And like you said, once you find that thing that you one, enjoy and you're good at as well, because you've got to be real with yourself. If you can't sing, stop singing. Like, just stop wasting your time. You're better at playing a drum. Do you know what I mean? Like, stop wasting your time singing when you could become the world's best drummer. Yeah. Like, there's no point in, and I was talking to one of my friends, and she was like, to my kids, she's like, I'll tell them, like, you're amazing at this. Stop wasting your time doing this. You're dreadful. She's like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and tell them they're great when they're not, because that's just that just builds cotton wool kids. It's like, no, you're awful at this, but I'm not saying you're a bad person. Like, go and stick to what you're good at. And
100%.
I think that's what I'm getting from you, is sort of, once you've got that, go all in. Do you know what I mean? Like, all in. And I feel like that's a common theme with me as well. Like, I've committed to go all in with YouTube, and now YouTube is going to be my main platform. And that's why I committed to doing daily videos, because I know that that's where I want to be. I want to provide long form content, because in a minute video, you can only say so much. Yeah. So going all in, I think it's that switch, and it's that mentality that is scary as well. Because I was like, I've spent 4 years on Instagram, 4 or 5 years on Instagram building this platform. I've spent 2 or 3 years on TikTok building this platform, and I've actually got less followers on YouTube, but I'm going all in with it. It doesn't make logical sense. But to me, it's like, but there's more than that, because even on TikTok, I started doing vegan food. I was gaining like 1,000 to 10,000 followers a day on TikTok. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, this was blowing up, and I stopped doing vegan food. So I could have grown very big with that. But like you said, it just wasn't my passion. Like, I love vegan food because I'm vegan, but I don't really care for it. Like, I care for helping people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, the going all in stuff is definitely important. Like I said, there's definitely a few regrets that I have, where I think, like, how much better off I could have been if I just, took the plunge, if it just, went all in at that moment in time. And it's definitely scary, but, when an opportunity arises, you need to take the opportunity.
Yes.
And, money comes and goes, it circles back around. And I've, even during the first lockdown, I was, fresh out of that business that failed. I lost clients that I had before that. I started up the agency again, basically, and we focused on dental services, because that's what we were getting good results with back then. And then the pandemic hit, we lost all those clients because obviously they couldn't accept.
Yes.
So, there's definitely been a lot of ups and downs. But, once, like I said, if you just keep at it, keep tweaking and changing, go all in when you see an opportunity. So, for example, now, when all this happens, we got a bit of momentum with meal delivery services, meal prep, because obviously pandemic, everyone's working from home.
Yes.
It was a good opportunity. And that was probably the first time that I actually went all in on something.
Wow.
And to this day, we're still working with meal delivery services.
Wow. So it paid off dividends, for the long term.
I'd say 85% of our clientele now are meal delivery services all over the world.
Wow.
And like I said, that was probably the first time I actually did go all in on something.
And that's where it served you. So, and that's the thing, because I do believe that our journeys are I believe our journeys are perfect. Despite where we're at, I do believe our journeys are perfect. And everything that you've done has got you to that point to go,
it happens for a reason. Definitely.
I need to go all in with this one. I missed out on all of them ones. I'm not missing out on this one. And that one that you've now taken up has sort of built the baseline for your business now all over the world, which is just a beautiful thing.
100%. I think saying yes to opportunities is another big one as well.
When
it arises, say, obviously, make sure it is in line with your goals.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Saying yes to more things, definitely, a lot of good things come from saying yes.
100%, man. 100%. Even like this trip to Mexico for me, financially, it was a bit difficult, but I was like, I can figure it out. And I've got a good, and again, back to my podcast, is intuition. My intuition is good for Mexico. I've been wanting, and things lined up perfectly. A friend of mine was going there, and all these different things that we were both talking about, he was actually on the podcast. And it was just so aligned that I was like, I can't say no. I was like, I'm making this happen regardless. Realistically, I don't have all of the cash there. I'm kind of financing it a bit, but I'm not being stupid with it because it's a business. It's more than just right, I'm just getting a credit card and just going for loan. It's not that. It's a bit of structure to it. But yeah, man, no, I appreciate having you on. And I really do want to ask you just the last sort of question, which I ask everyone. I've only just started asking people. Again, this podcast constantly developing. It wasn't originally going to be a podcast. It was just going to be conversations with some friends, and then it's sort of turning into a podcast. It's just adapting. I've just let go of every outcome. I'm not trying to push anything anymore. I'm just sitting. I'm just creating. I'm just making and building, and it gets here. And yeah, my final question is, before I tell people where they can find you and all that stuff, I'll get you to say that. What is your intuition telling you to say right now to someone listening to this? What is your intuition guiding you to say right now, would you say, not being a spiritual person as well?
I can't remember if it was on the podcast or before that, when we were mentioning best years. If it was
that was on the podcast. Yeah,
it was on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I said 2018 was probably my best year. If I had to pick a favorite year, and that was the year I did all that traveling and had all those experiences. But if I look at financially, I had 2-3 clients on average per month. If you look now, I've got 23 clients. Yet I still class that as the best year.
Wow.
So I think sometimes you need to figure out what is it that you actually enjoy doing, what actually gives you the most fulfillment, and go after that. And you don't necessarily need to have a 7-figure business to do so, or a 6-figure business for that matter. You can make it work. And Tim Ferriss obviously mentions that as well, right? He says you don't need $1 million to retire.
Yeah.
You just need to figure out what is actually your goal, and then just reverse engineer that.
Yeah.
And I seen funny enough, it was on TikTok. Someone the hook was how to immediately 5x your worth or something like that. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a watch. And the answer was move to Colombia. That was the answer. I thought, okay, obviously, he did that for the views. He did, the hook and the suspense. But the idea behind it was actually quite smart, because yes, you haven't actually 5x your income or anything like that, but you've moved to a place where that money is worth more.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, if you're getting paid in dollars and your business expenses are in pesos, or I don't even know what they have in Colombia, to be fair.
Right.
But, it's worth so much more there. So you
Definitely.
can live like a king for the same
Love
amount. And that sort of ties in nicely with what Tim Ferriss is teaching as well. Like, you know, he was, not sure if it was New York, but he was in, you know, a city where the cost of living was very high. You know, it was very fast paced, etc. And he always had this vision of, okay, I just need X amount more. I just need to get to that next level. And then once I've got that, I can retire on a beach in Barcelona or in Spain.
Why don't you go to that speech now?
Yeah, he got burnt out, and he basically just had a one flight to Europe. You know, you just need to get out today. He just needs to sort his head out. And then he ends up on a beach in Spain, and then realized this was actually what I wanted all along. And I didn't actually need to get to that 7-figure goal or whatever it was.
Love that.
Achieve it. You know, I just made it happen, and you know, the stars just aligned. You know,
that's why I'm going to Mexico, because when I went to Bali in 2018, that was just beautiful. It was like you said, you're earning pounds, living in Indonesian rupees, like it's $1 million for a meal. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. But no, brother, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you always, bro.
I enjoyed this.
Likewise. We'll definitely have to do it again. I've been thinking about the way I want to do this and sort of bringing people on and going in depth with them, not going wide, which most podcasts do. I want to go deep. That's sort of my intuition's telling me. But where can people find you because I know you're on YouTube, you're on Instagram and stuff like that. So where can people find you? How can they contact you if they want to work with you or they want to start an agency as well?
I'm a bit everywhere at the moment, aren't I? I'm sort of dabbling into TikTok. I've had YouTube for about 4 years now. So if you want to watch how to like basically get started with agency life, etc., YouTube is probably the best platform to do so. It's just at Joshua Daniel. If you YouTube Joshua Daniel SMMA, you'll be able to find me. It's like that's like sort of how you can find me ranked on keywords. And then it's just at Joshua Daniel George on Instagram if you want to send me a message there.
Amazing stuff. I'll put all your details in the link below of the YouTube video as well. But brother, you're a blessing. Appreciate you always, Josh. And look forward to seeing more success coming your way, man.